Where assignments will be stored in Pega Rules database. Work list related assignments are stored in PgaAssign Work List. Work basket related assignments are stored in PgaAssign Work Basket. Where work objects will be stored. Work objects are stored in Work Table by default. However, if you want to store the work objects in a user-created table, follow the below mentioned steps. Create a schema similar to Work Table. The best thing is to copy the Work schema and modify the table name and constraints name if any. Change the class group mapping, DataAdminDB table, to the newly created table. If I have 3 different work objects in my application, how to store them in 3 different tables? Create the DataAdminDB table instance for each class and mention the table name. By doing this, the individual work objects will be stored in the new table you mentioned in the DataAdminDB table instance. This is a best practice if there are too many object instances for each class. How to make any rule as a favorite to your manager. Delegate the rule to manager. Where can I see the parameter values in the clipboard? Values, I am passing one activity to other. No, it is not possible in clipboard, but you can see in tracer by clicking page name which in step method column. In routing activity, what is the default property used to route the object? Px route to equals param.assign to equals work basket name for work basket. For work list. Px route to equals param.worklist equals true and param.assign to equals px requester.py user identifier for work list. Ticket. Explain any scenario you used. Use the ticket shape to mark the starting point for exceptions that may arise at any point in the flow, such as a cancellation. The ticket is a label for a point in a flow, much like a programming go-to destination. Default activities used to create work object. Add, create work, and new. How to restrict the harness section to particular user. Using the circumstances or using different access groups and privileges. Why external authentication checkbox is required in operator. It will be used to provide the access for external users, end users, to accessing the application. For example, end users will not directly accessing to the Pega application. Suppose they want to access to the Pega application through interfacing with third-party tool. SSO authentication. How many access groups can be associated to an operator at once? Only one access group at a time, but one operator will have multiple access group in their operator ID instance. What is the default access role used by developers? Pega Rules SYS Admin 4. Different types of classes that Prpc support. We have different types of standard classes will be available, which are: at base class is ultimate base class, and its child classes are work-data-rule-assign-history- etc. Pega always support 2 types of classes, which are abstract classes and concrete classes. Abstract classes are ends with dash, and abstract classes cannot create any work object instances. Concrete classes will does not ends with dash, and concrete classes will create work object instances. How many types of portals does Prpc can provide? Where will you specify the portals that you have created? Composite portals, fixed portals, custom portals, mobile portals. After creating a portal, it will specified in the Access Group Settings tab, and then it will access to the particular user. Different types of harness that you have used. We have number of standard harness will be available in Pega, but most commonly used are new, perform, review, conform, tabbed, perform screen flow, tree navigation. If I want to restrict a user to perform on a particular flow action, how can I achieve it? We can specify the privileges or when conditions in security tab of the flow action. How can you expose a property? By using the modified database schema or optimize for reporting option. Modifying database schema: A select database, select table, A view columns, select columns, give database username and password and the click generate. Optimize reporting means right click on the property and select the optimize for reporting. Mention about the flow types. Process flows, screen flows, subflows, straight-through process flows. What are all the different types of scope that data page provide? Node, thread, requester. What is an agent? An agent is an internal background process operating on the server that runs activities on a periodic basis. What is a service level agreement, SLA? A service level rule is an instance of the rule-log-J service level type. Each service level rule defines 1 to 3 time intervals, known as goals, deadlines, and late intervals, that indicate the expected or targeted turnaround time for the assignment, or time to resolve for the work object. The goal time is the smallest time interval, the deadline time is a longer interval, and the late interval defines post-deadline times. Each time interval is in days, hours, minutes, and seconds. What are the types of SLA? Where they can be defined. Service level rules can be associated with a work object or an assignment. For assignments, the service level rule is referenced in the assignment properties panel of the assignment task. For the overall work object, the service level rule is identified in the standard property.pysla name, typically set up through a model for the class. The default value is the default service level. What is a flow action and different types of flow actions we have? A flow action rule controls how users interact. Each flow action is defined by an instance of the rule-log-J flow action rule type. Connector flow action. Local flow action. What is the difference between connector flow action and local flow action? A local flow action permits users at runtime to update, but not complete, an assignment. Local flow actions always are optional. Users may perform none, one, or multiple local flow actions, or repeat a local flow action multiple times. At runtime, users choose a connector flow action, complete the assignment, and advances the work object along the connector to the next task. What is the property? A property is an instance of the rule-log-J property rules type. Property defines and labels a value that can be associated with a class. For instances contained in the database, a property often corresponds to a relational database column. Difference between rule edit input and rule edit validate. Edit input rules are instances of the rule edit input class. They are part of the property category. An edit input rule provides a conversion facility. Edit validate rules are instances of the rule edit validate class. They are part of the property category. Use the edit validate form to define a Java routine that tests the validity of an input value in an activity. Consider this scenario: I have a property of type decimal, I need to restrict it to 2 decimal places only. How easily this can be done? By using a qualifier PyDecimal Precision under Qualifiers tab. Types of validations in Pega. A. Client-side validations. If you want to validate properties before submitting the forms, those validations we can call as client-side validations. B. Server-side validations. If we want to validate properties after submitting the forms, those validations we can call as a server-side validation. Explain the activity end method. Use the activity end method to cause the system to end the current activity and all calling activities. X if alpha calls beta, which calls gamma, which calls delta, which performs the activity end method, all 4 activities will be end. Explain about exit activity method. The exit activity method ends the current activity and returns control to the calling activity.